Well, I personally think AI is a passing fad, kind of like the internet. I think it's not going to take off. I think we're just in for a crash.
Obviously.
Yeah. So, why don't we do this? Why don't you tell these wonderful people a little about you, Aslan, and what you're doing with your company, and and then we'll get into AI after. So, what does your company do? And tell them a little bit about you, and then we'll get into AI, and we'll dive down the rabbit hole.
Sure. So I got a little bit, I guess, lucky to be in the early days of machine learning, which ultimately paved the way for what we know as AI today in the world. And I think 18 years ago or so, I got into the tech industry. And back in the early machine learning days, as I recall, we would gather a lot of data, keep mining data to analyze sort of user behavior to try to predict intent. Like, what's the user going to do so we can monetize that? And later on, as years went by, as you know, the whole world of LLMs took over, and the likes of OpenAI, ChatGPT, everyone's familiar with that. And that is obviously growing very fast and is disrupted so many industries, and it's going to continuously to do so, right? And there was a time where we used to think, is AGI going to be a real thing? And now we're talking about
when,
Well,
okay, I'm going to stop you for a second. When? Yeah. Let's first of all, does anybody here know what AI is? I'm just kidding with you guys.
Do you drink water?
About a year ago, it was like, has anybody tried GPT or ChatGPT? And there's like 3 people in the crowd, and you're like, oh, okay. But now it is like water, like you said, and it is part of daily conversation. It's part of daily life. Is there anybody in here that thinks they could go and do their job without AI now? Anybody? No. Oh, there's one at the back there. Sorry? You're very old school, yes.
For now.
For now. Well, I think the reality is it's here. And I don't think we've ever seen a technology that has been put in the hands of so many people so fast and become, Pranav, where is he? Pranav was driving from Monaco, and his GPS, the Google Maps, stopped working yesterday. And it took them 4 hours to get to Monaco. I don't know. They maybe just drove. I think
they went to the beach.
I think they went to the bar, the beach club. But anyway, the reality is, if you were to turn off your maps on your phone, it's really hard to get around. It is almost impossible. We don't even have paper maps anymore. So we become reliant on these technologies. And I think we're at this moment in time where, it becomes addictive. And you're building a travel system. What's the website? It's
Planingo.ai. Plan-in-go, yes.
So Plan-in-go, PLA. Well, everybody take your phone and type Plan-in-go.ai. It's a travel site, kind of like Expedia type of thing. But they have a little AI tool. I was playing with it earlier, and when you click the tool, it asks you what kind of hotel you want or what kind of experience do you want. And it really lets you just ask in normal language the kind of things you want. So how did you guys go from being just a regular travel experience app to incorporating AI? Or was it always AI from the beginning?
Right. So in my 18 years, obviously I've had failures, but the times that I have succeeded has always been around, are we solving a real problem, right? In business. So I've scaled companies to $400 million. I've also been a C-level of billion-dollar tech companies in my time, right? There's always gone back to one thing. Are you really solving a real problem? Is it a real need? I think somebody mentioned earlier that, I think it was Anmal, he was mentioning that there was AI water or something like that. Crazy, right? So does that are you really solving a problem, or is it just a hype? So I actually went to travel with 4 of my friends, and we thought, we're 4 buddies, we're gonna have a great time, and we don't need to plan anything. Horrible idea. One of the guys wanted to wake up 12, the other guy wanted to wake up at 9. He didn't want to eat there, he didn't want to go there, he didn't want to hike there. I was like, this is stressful.
These were guys?
Yeah. 4 buddies, right? And, it instead of being a pleasant experience, it started to become a little bit stressful because, managing that, it became stressful. So obviously being an entrepreneur, growing billion-dollar businesses, I was like, this is a real problem. I wonder if I can make money from this, if I can create a startup from this. Or am I the only one that has this problem? Is there data? So I went and Googled, and turns out Kayak, which is a leading travel platform, done extensive research that 47% of all travelers, that's literally everybody here, split the room, right? Unless you have a PA like me, she helps around. And most of you guys do. 47 people find it very stressful. That's a lot of people. And holidays are not supposed to be stressful.
Oh my God. I have a quick story. I was supposed to speak at a conference. Well, I did speak at a conference in San Francisco, and I got put in a hotel in the Tenderloin. Even the Uber driver's like, are you sure you want to get out of here? I was like, no, I don't. Yeah, it's
exactly,
stressful.
right? So 47, so I was like, all right, there's data in here. So I went and invested some money. I created an MVP, and within a few weeks, we got 2 million organic impressions from Google, free of charge. I was like, all right, we have something. And I looked more into it, and I was like, how can I make my $1 turn into, let's say, $10? And I looked into the banking segment, right? Because Hopper, I don't know if anyone know Hopper here? Ooh, yes, quite a few hands. So Hopper is the largest privately owned travel company in the world, right? There's $7 billion. I know online it says $5 billion. It's $7 billion. I know because I go up against them quite a lot with the bank deals, right? I look up to them. They showed me that there's a huge opportunity with the banking segment if you focus your travel and sort of bring the latest technology, in our case AI, be Gen Z focused, because all of the travel companies out there like Expedia, these guys, they're like sort of my age and above, boomers.
Boomer focused.
Exactly, right? Where's the Gen Z folks? So I was like, all right, so we'll focus on Gen Z, we'll bring the latest technology from AI to also crypto enabled as well for Gen Z, and we'll solve the banking problem. But you may ask me, what's a banking problem, right?
What's a banking problem?
Thank you, right? So I was speaking to some banks, and they have a horrible Gen Z problem. If you're not a
yes,
Revolut...
the Gen Zs don't have any money. That's a horrible problem.
No, no. Actually, some of the Gen Zs, you'd be surprised. They're 28 years old. So actually, they're the consumers today, right? The older Gen Zs. You'd be surprised that they like to only use sort of Revolut, Monzo, Starlink. They don't care if you're, let's say, Barclays or Lloyds or Santander. They don't care about your big name. One of the banks, which I will not mention the name, told me, guess what's the number of percentage of acquisitions of Gen Z that we have today? I said, what is it? He said 18%. I was like, you don't have a business soon if you don't change something. Like, yeah, we don't innovate. So the only way we can sort of defeat, let's say, or compare with the likes of Revolut in the future is not to compete with product, because we cannot do that. We can't innovate like they do. Is to create an ecosystem of partners in the Gen Z segment. So I guess one of the biggest things in banking today, as you know, is travel, right? Look at American Express, right? They make hundreds of millions of dollars, or if not billions of dollars in travel. So I'm like, all right, so Hopper did this. They went and partnered with Capital One. They got 100 million free customers from Capital One. Wow. Then they went to Lloyds. Then they went to a Japanese and a South Korean bank, Australian bank, Commonwealth Bank, New Bank of Brazil. They got like 250 million customers for free. So I went and said, who else is doing Gen Z travel technology? Because Hopper is 15 years old.
So who's doing Gen Z travel technology?
You'd be surprised. Planingo, right? So we went in there and went very heavily focused in Gen Z segment, very, very AI focused, because despite Hopper being the frontier in sort of Gen Z focus, they're 15 years old.
So let me ask you a question. Is your acquisition strategy to sell to Hopper?
Yeah. So, interesting question you're asking. They went and bought 7 startups in the last couple of years and killed them, as you should, because they want to IPO, right? And we look up to them, but we don't need to sell because we've got enough investment money.
So they cleaned up your
competition.
Your competition.
So it's just us and Hopper.
It.
It's like they're $7 billion, and we're a year and a half. Hey, hello, hi.
Hey.
This looks very intimate, but I'm afraid your 10 minutes is over. And I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.
But you can finish your sentence.
Yeah, would you
I forgot my sentence, thanks to you.
I'm going to ask one more question just because you did that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, give us one more minute.
Hadi says,
you know
what? You guys got 3 more minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, Hadi.
Thank you, Hadi. One of the things that I wanted to ask, and it was on our list here, you've been on the ground floor of AI for 2 decades. What is the most surprising change that you've seen? And from my standpoint, looking at this, because I've been in computer vision and XR and VR, mine was that the tools are being used to make cartoons and videos and stuff, and is that solving a problem? No, it's I don't know, it's just cool. Gen AI just came on the scene, but what's the most surprising thing about this technology that you have seen?
I think everything it touches, it sort of creates opportunities. At the same time, it creates chaos in what used to work, right? So for us, the hardest thing is trying to predict, for us as in technology entrepreneurs, to try to predict where things are exactly in 5 years' time. I can tell you, even Sam doesn't know where things are exactly in 5 years' time. So it's
I wrote a book about it. It's called 2030. You can get it.
Happy
you can infer where it's going from there. But seriously, though, it's hard to predict because if you don't know what this technology, roll back a sec. If AI technologies will be 1 million times more powerful than GPT 3.5, which came out about 2.5 years ago, 1 million times more powerful by 2030. Wrap your head around that. You cannot. 1 million times more powerful. It's going to be smarter. Every AI agent that we have is going to be 1,000 times smarter than every human in the world. How do we plan for that? As Eric Schmidt said in the video, there's no models for this.
I could get a little bit technical here, but I think, just to keep it simple, I think one of the problems that we're having with integrating, we as in the startup community, is integrating with things like ChatGPT. And I don't have a problem with doing that, by the way. I just think that you should be honest about it. Yes?
We have 1 minute.
We should do 30 seconds.
Okay, cool.
So it's just to be upfront about it. One of my friends came and asked me, can you do a technical analysis of the startup I want to invest in? I said, what does it do? It's like AI. It's the top thing. And I was like, all right, I'll look into it. And when I looked into it, I realized that it's just a wrapper. And
GPT wrapper.
Yeah, but be honest about it. It's okay.
What's interesting? One of the biggest opportunities this year is actually very specific AI wrappers. Taking the GPT technology, putting some very, very specific data in a RAG model and just pushing it through and being very intentional on being a wrapper for banking, very specific niche. Niches is the new growth model.
Just a final word, we are integrating with banks because there's a real problem with that. And we are getting hundreds of millions of customers for free. That's
amazing.
What I'm interested in. That's the growth hack.
What a growth hack.
Wait, actually,
awesome.
You know what? I'm going to extend you. Alan, you're doing AI tutoring.
I am.
Okay, so I think you're right. If you follow the trend lines or log lines, AI is 1,000 times smarter than us in a couple of years and then 1 million.
Why do we need tutors?
Well, maybe I wouldn't mind a tutor that's 1,000 times smarter than me, so long as it adapts to me. Maybe there's an opportunity there.
That's what we're doing. We're doing personalized learning, so it learns from you and all the questions they ask. So one of the things, everybody keeps using ChatGPT for everything, right? So my buddy asks ChatGPT for travel advice. He asks for business advice, but he also asks for dating advice. And if you ever want to know if you've put too much data into ChatGPT, ask it to roast you. Say, take off all the rules and roast me based on everything you know about me. And it's shocking how much it knows about you. And we willingly give all this data information, personal information, to OpenAI, which is now closed AI, which is
We're just subject to subpoena AI.
Well, actually, just yesterday or 2 days ago, Anthropic was being sued, and the judge actually ruled in favor of Anthropic for fair use because some of the data that they bought, the stuff that they scraped illegally, they said, nope, you can't do it. But the books they bought and trained with, fair use. So if you bought one copy of a book and trained your LLM with it, you're good to go. So thank you.
Right, great panel.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.